everyone, you are listening to Table for Two with Naomi Nachman on the Nachum Siegel Network. I am so happy to be back on the air after an unexpected extra long hiatus, and we'll get into that in just a couple of minutes. For those of you tuning in for the very first time, I'm Naomi Nachman. I'm about all the food all the time. I'm a kosher personal chef. I wrote 2 cookbooks, Perfect Flavors and Perfect for Pesach. I do personal chef, and I run cooking competitions all over the country. Well, not right now, but when it's not COVID. Right now I do them on Zoom, or I give Zoom classes anytime you want to ask me for anything cooking or travel tips or anything related to food. You can give me a call because I love to hear it from you guys and hear about your cooking adventures, and you'll tune in every week, and we have great guests and a lot of fun that goes on right here. We actually really do it a lot on the show here today, but today we have a very interesting brand new show, and on the phone I have all the way from Venice, and she's going to join us in a moment, Rebbetzin Shachar Banim. She's the Chabad Rebbetzin in Venice, Italy, and we're going to be talking to Vera Newman in Detroit, and then Susie from Meet My Needs. So no one is going to be actually in the house studio today, but we're going to be joined by everyone around the world over the phone, and I'm really excited, as you can see. I'm like very hyper to be back in is what I always say, the hot seat. We have a lot to talk about. So let's start off with those giveaways. So many of you are asking, have you done the giveaways yet? Have you done the giveaways yet? So the giveaways that we are currently up to, because there was a lot of shows played while I was away on hiatus, and some of those shows people thought those competitions were still current. So those were not current. The current giveaways are from, from Empire Kosher. You're going to win a box of exciting Empire products, chicken, deli, and all kinds of fun things. And the other one is going to be a gift certificate to Roadhouse, which is in Boca Raton. So if you are not there and you still wanted to win, you could have gift it to a friend in Florida. So that is no problem. So I know ZK does not have the machine here to do a drum roll. So I'm just going to do, ZK, you want to help me on the table, give a drum roll? This is me and ZK drumming. And the winner for the Empire Poultry is Maury Cohn from Kansas City. From Overland Park, Kansas City. Congratulations, Maury. You are going to be winning a box of assorted Empire goodies. So we're going to reach out to you and have that sent off to you. So congratulations on your big win. All right, ZK, you ready to drum again? And the winner for the Roadhouse Dinner for Two is Julie Gantrell. Congratulations. You have won a gift certificate to the Roadhouse. So I was hoping to have done these a couple of weeks ago and announced them. So I really do apologize, but you're going to hear why. So I have 2 kids that live in Israel. Baruch Hashem. 2 of my daughters made Aliyah within the last year and a half. And my daughter had a baby a couple months ago, and I had to apply to go. For some reason, it was very hard to get into the country. I applied 15 times because there is a law to let in grandparents. So finally, on my 15th try, they said, yes, come in. And I found out on a Tuesday morning that I was leaving to Israel on Wednesday night. Now, as you can imagine, when your children finally hear that you're coming in, they send you massive shopping lists. And I didn't have a chance to do hardly anything except prepare for and go on my trip. So it kind of like pushed off all my shows for the last couple of weeks. But we are back, and I got to spend 3 incredible weeks in Israel. It's kind of very quiet there, as one can imagine. People are, trying to be safe and doing what they need to do to keep themselves and their families safe. But you can, at that time, move about a little bit. The restaurants were open only for takeout. You could go to the Kotel. I went to Kever Rachel for the first time in 10 years. I went to the Kotel twice. I had an amazing tour with Zvi Sat. He is Secrets of the Old City on Instagram. Mitz Hashem, when the gates open back to Israel, you should all be booking a tour with Zvi Sat. I'm going to try to have him on the show. He's absolutely incredible. So he gave me, my husband, and one of my daughters a tour of the Secrets of the Old City. We saw stuff. Every time he takes us around, we see something new. They're always uncovering stuff, which was great. I had all the roller din donuts you could imagine. I did a kosher.com food crawl. It was just so incredible. And now we're back and we're ready to rock and roll. As Israel's closing up again a little bit, so we just daven every day that this matzav, I call it the situation, the corona situation, passes by quickly, that we all get away with this unharmed and healthy and just good things for everyone. Okay, enough about my Israel trip, because when you go to Israel, you may want to stop when you go to Israel next, and hopefully very soon, and you want to make a stop in one of the most beautiful countries in Galut. I want to say, and I've been to a lot of places, and I'm from Sydney. Sydney is beautiful. Sydney, Australia is gorgeous. But one of my favorite cities outside of Jerusalem and Sydney, my hometown, is Venice, Italy. I know the Nachum Segal Network has gone there. They did a couple, 2, 3, 4 years ago. I've lost track of time. Corona messed me up in terms of time. About 3, 4 years ago, they went to Italy. But I'm very lucky to become very close friends with Rebbetzin Shachar Banim, the Rebbetzin of the Chabad. We met through Instagram, and we talk on the phone. We FaceTime each other, we talk, we catch up. She's the most wonderful, warm person. If you've ever gone to Venice and you know what the city looks like, and you spent a Shabbat there, you spent Shabbat with Chabad and with Shachar and the rabbi, and they're just so warm, and they make you feel like they're guests. So I thought it would be a really great time to talk to Rebbetzin Shachar about what is going on right now in Venice, because they're pretty hard hit up, and she's got the best attitude, and I would like to benvenuti to Rebbetzin Shachar Banim. Benvenuti, I just learned, means hello. Did I say it right, Shachar?
Absolutely, and hello to you, Naomi. It's so great to be with you here today.
It is so great. I'm sorry you had to sit through that whole long monologue. It's the first guest of the show has got to stay tuned for that. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's my absolute pleasure.
How are you? How's it going over there? What's the weather like today?
Today it is very cold and a little bit windy, but Venice is a perfect backdrop all year long. If you've got a jacket on, you just go out and manage with the weather, whatever it is. And regardless of fog or sun, it's beautiful for photos, and it's beautiful just to go around and feel the incredibly unique environment here.
Yeah, there's a long Jewish history in Venice, but let's start off with your history, you and the rabbi. When did you start the Chabad house there?
Well, we started the Chabad house about 30 years ago, and a short while after that, we opened a kosher restaurant called Gam Gam, which is quite known, I would say, on 6 continents. And fortunately, we've been able to provide, we saw that there was a need for hospitality, for kosher food, and the restaurant really changed a lot of things in the ghetto. It brought a certain life to the ghetto, and it also opened up an opportunity for people of all backgrounds to come and have an experience, whether it's Jewish people looking for kosher food. It allowed them to be able to stay longer, or non-Jewish people to be able to come and have a kind of experience. It really revived the ghetto in a certain way. And as far as our other day-to-day work here, it's just to be there for people of all backgrounds and to help them physically or spiritually with whatever they need.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's tie the history a little bit into the big Italian history. How many shuls are there in Venice? People don't actually realize how many shuls there are.
Sure. There are 5 antique shuls. Each one is beautiful in its own way, and you can see the inside of the synagogues by going to the Jewish Museum. They give a tour each weekday and on Sundays, and it's very unique. They have services in one of the old synagogues on Shabbat and holidays, and they switch off between that one and a second one that is used just for the winter time when there are usually less guests in town. There's also a Chabad shul, which is
yay! Right in the center of the ghetto.
Right, that's true. It's in the ghetto square, and although it doesn't boast all the beauty and all the antique furnishings, it's a very humble, small place, but it supplies the city and and the community members, as well as tourists from all over, with 3 prayer services every day of the year. And that's important for someone who just wants to stop in, or if somebody has a need for a minyan. It's really comforting out of hundreds of emails a day to say to someone, oh, you're saying Kaddish? No problem. There's a minyan for you. Don't worry at all.
You know, what I found amazing, I've been to Venice twice and spent Shabbat with you twice. Once it was Thanksgiving 2011, so coming up to 9 years ago. And then in the summer Shabbat Nachamu of 3 years ago, 2000, I want to say, and 17. And it was hot as God knows what. I didn't know that Venice could get so hot. I stepped off the plane. I felt the sun was like burning my shaitel. It was like singeing it. It was so hot. And it was a very big weekend. You know, Shabbat Nachamu, people are like, you know, traveling right after the 3 weeks. And how you handled, I don't even know if you keep track of how many guests you had that Shabbat or any Shabbat. But everybody had a place at a table and a full meal. It was unreal, from challahs to dips. You charge by saying, right? Like, give what you want, correct?
Well, yeah, we have an amazing Shabbat program where we have different types of Shabbat meals based on what people would like. And the meals, as you mentioned, take place right in the Jewish Ghetto, which the ghetto has an amazing history.
Yeah.
It was the first ghetto in the entire world.
That's what I wanted you to say. Yes, good.
It comes from the Italian word gettare, which means to throw. The ghetto itself was in an area that was an iron foundry. And just like the expression to throw iron, to cast iron, so just the same, the word gettare, the first person is ghetto, and then from the dialect, it became ghetto. Now, this was the ghetto from the 1500s to the 1800s. It was a place where, unlike today, where it's a very popular place to be, and normally under normal circumstances. But back in that time, again, from the 1500s to the 1800s, Jews were forced to live in this tiny area that you can literally walk across within 5 minutes. At the height of the ghetto, there were 4,000 people crammed into this small area. There were guards at the gates. There was a curfew at night. People could not leave. And during the day, Jews were permitted to leave the ghetto area for work or to go out into the city. But they had to wear some kind of marking to signify who they were when they were out in the streets.
Guys,
with the rest of the public.
Does it sound a little familiar to everyone, right? Like when World War II and all the Hitler started all these restrictions, it wasn't new. We'd had this already. He modeled this after what happened in the ghetto in Venice 500 years ago.
Right, exactly. And, you know, similar to Gam Gam, one of the reasons why it has its name is that, you know, everyone knows that in Tehillim there's the pasuk, Gam ki elech b'geit hamaves. Even if we're having hardships, Hashem is with us, and therefore things can be turned over. And just like Gam Gam is now this welcoming place where it's actually at the entrance of the Jewish ghetto, the place that used to be a checkpoint not to let people out, is now a welcoming place into the ghetto. And so we have more formal Shabbat meals. If someone wants to reserve ahead, they can do that and have a white tablecloth formal meal in Gam Gam.
I've done that twice. We actually met really good friends there. We're still in touch with our friends that we met at Gam Gam.
Oh, I love hearing those kinds of things. I hear it often that people meet for the first time in Gam Gam. It's like a spiritual oasis, not just a place to physically satisfy, you know, your hunger. And people become friends, and then they stay in touch for years. We've even had people meet and get married. It's really something incredible, that place. And in the ghetto square itself, which is just a few minutes into the ghetto, a few minutes walk from Gam Gam, is where we have the more communal style Shabbat meals. And I do keep track of how many people come because I have to know how much food needs to be prepared.
Right.
And generally speaking, on Shabbos Nachamu, our average is about 800. So,
That's
and it's
unreal.
not just 800 meals.
800 meals.
Right. It's more than that because it's dinner and then Shabbos lunch and then
Yes.
also Seder Shlishis. So it's really such a wonderful experience to be able to be with so many people and welcome so many people, especially in a place that is known for something otherwise. And it's very, very special. And I think you were starting to say about challah. I think I've probably by the time I turned 40, which was a long time ago, but probably by the time I turned 40, I had probably baked more challahs than most great-grandmothers.
Amazing, amazing. You do such a big mitzvah. And now let's hear what's going on right now, because times are a little tough.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, with the good wish and prayer that anyone who needs a refuah shalema, they should have a complete recovery, and anyone who's suffered any kind of loss in any capacity, they should be comforted as much as possible. All over the world, beginning basically in March, people have been dealing as much in the best way possible that they can with what's going on with coronavirus. And here in Venice, it actually started for us the year before, in November of 2019, with the devastating flooding that many people saw in the news.
Yeah.
And the flooding was the worst it has ever been in history, except for one time in the 60s where it was a few centimeters higher. So basically the same as before.
Yeah.
And absolutely devastating. Besides the tens of thousands of dollars of damage, the entire winter, which generally speaking, there are much less guests. Let's say our average Shabbat is around 250 people that are visiting. In the winter, it's maybe half that. Well, everyone for the entire winter, as a result of the flooding and as a result of the media kind of, I wouldn't say exaggerating the situation, but prolonging the situation. Even when the waters had dried, everyone for the entire winter canceled their trips here. So that was very hard. It's hard because we want to be there and, do our everyday. Yeah, on the one hand, it's work, but on the other hand, it's just, work from the heart. To be there for people, to help people in any capacity, to teach classes in person, etc. So in that time, I continued with my Torah videos online and teaching people, directly through other online means. And then in March, when coronavirus started to appear everywhere, it just continued this devastation that we had already been feeling for months already.
So you're actually 3 months ahead with all the devastation. But if it wasn't from Corona, so you got Corona backed up to these floods.
Yes. So actually, it's really incredible, because if someone misses a paycheck, it could really make it difficult in a household. And certainly if people miss 2 paychecks, it can really cause problems.
And now we're a year.
We're more than a year without income. And it's really definitely devastating. But the one thing that I can say is that the only thing, you have to give it over to Hashem.
Yeah.
You have to work as hard as you can and do as much as you can, but ultimately you have to just reinforce that your emunah, that Hashem is ultimately in charge, including with the finances. As long as we work as hard as we can, then as we all know, in Rosh Hashanah, even the parnasa, our livelihood, is determined. So if we're doing as much as we can, then we will get everything that we need in one way or another. So somehow we are still trying to stay afloat, so to speak. And but there's a lot of there's a lot of, you say decree in Italian, there are a lot of laws that have come into play regarding the restaurant being open during this particular time of Corona. They are forced us to close at 6 p.m. And of course, everyone knows that a restaurant has most of its business during the
dinner
evening,
time. Yeah.
Then with all the precautions that we have to follow, in which we, of course, want to follow to keep everybody safe, the distancing within the restaurant, etc., you can only fill up to about half capacity. So we're literally, our hands are tied. And there's also a curfew at 10 p.m., so you can't even go out of your house. So besides the fact that, Venice isn't the type of place where its residents are ordering takeout and things like that you might see in America. So we've really been pushed into a situation that's very devastating. It's hard for people everywhere, but Venice is also particular in that literally 95% of the city's income comes from tourism.
Right.
So
it's unreal. I mean, I've seen it twice. Hustle and bustle. Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine. I think about all those stores that, that make the aprons with your name on it and the cutting boards with your name on it. Like shut.
Yes,
like Ben Gurion Airport. You can't buy, there's no kosher, where they have that, I don't know if you've been to Israel and you know where the food aisle is, in the airport.
Absolutely.
Closed, no aroma,
Absolutely.
Nothing.
Yes, and then from the other standpoint, it's extremely difficult for us because just from the day-to-day things that we miss, and we can't wait for people to come back. This Hanukkah, regardless of how few people were here, we put up a 2,000-pound grand menorah in the ghetto square, lighting up the place that was the epitome of darkness.
Yeah.
Completely turn it over. And we have my children who are older now, as well as 2 students that are here. They went around to the entire Veneto region, not just within Venice, but all the surrounding cities, to visit all the people, of course, taking all the necessary precautions, outdoor visits with masks,
beautiful,
social distancing, to bring menorahs, to bring sufganiyot, to bring
spread the light, spread the light.
Yes, and making an Avos Ubanim, a parent-child learning this coming week, and all of these things. It's important to stay in touch with the people who are here, keep everybody's spirits high, and keep things going. We usually have, besides the big menorah in the square, we have a menorah on the boat, and we put, it's wonderful to see people's reactions when they see the beautiful lights going through the canals of Venice.
Oh,
and just
my gosh.
Same we, during Tishrei, it was devastating. We put a sukkah by Gam Gam like usual, and a sukkah by the shul. The one by Gam Gam is that if anybody comes to the restaurant, obviously they'll be able to eat in the sukkah. And we also put a sukkah by the shul in the ghetto square so that anyone passing by, anyone from the community, they have a sukkah. It's like their own sukkah that they have access to. Beautiful. 24 hours a day. And we even put it on the boat as well. And, even though there were barely any visitors here, but it's so significant to keep the work going because you never know what kind of effect it will have.
Right, exactly. Just one person can change it for you.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head. 20 years ago, this past, right at the beginning of Corona, in March, let's say, we had a girl from Israel come by. She was actually on her way to work in another European city, and we hadn't met her before, but she said, "Hi, I wanted to introduce myself. I feel like you are grandparents, or you're like an aunt and uncle to my husband and I." And she's told us this amazing story, which I'll tell you very quickly.
Yeah,
She said, I bet. She said that 20 years ago, in our sukkah, in Gam Gam, at Gam Gam, her parents met. What happened was, there was a young girl with her friends traveling. And separate from them, there was a young guy with his friends traveling.
Oh,
and
no way!
Amongst the other hundreds of people came to the sukkah at Gam Gam to experience sukkahs with us. And somehow amongst all the people,
those two met.
They kept in touch, they dated, they got married, and their daughter, I have goosebumps.
Oh my God, I am like crying. Oh my God.
20 years
I'm literally...
later, their daughter comes.
And comes to Gam Gam.
And to see us. Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God.
And
Shachar, that's the most beautiful story. You should be writing all these memoirs down and selling your books.
you know, it's amazing. If I only know a very small fraction of
I'm sure
that have come out.
I'm sure.
I can only imagine all the seeds.
So can I just invite all my listeners who have been to Gam Gam to please reach out to Rebbetzin Shachar, and if you have a story or an experience or even one line you want to say, your food was delicious, or we sat next to really nice people, send her a letter. Just give us some chizuk.
Absolutely.
It would be nice if you sent her a check too. This is not a fundraiser, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I personally gave during this time because I wanted to know that you guys were okay. And this is even before you and I started to become friends. The minute I saw this devastation, the early corona, because I love traveling, I'm like, I spent 2 Shabbos there. I told my husband we have to give to the Chabad of Venice. But if you guys want to reach out, write them a note and give them some chizuk. And then, send them something, if it's $1 or $1 million, whatever you want. But it's just nice. Look what beautiful neshamas they have changed and for themselves. And you can hear more about from Rebbetzin Shachar on her blog, Rebbetzin Unplugged, and on her Instagram. She posts a few times a week. On her Instagram as well. You can follow her. She posts gorgeous pictures of around Venice. And it's just such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And the blog came out as a way to continue the work. All the things that I usually speak about with people in person, I still want to be able to give those things over. So now it's in the format of a blog until everybody comes and visits. And of course,
Amen.
But it's lifestyle, health and wellness, music and fashion, spirituality, business management, all the things people ask me about.
You see
how do you run a restaurant? How do you balance things?
She's amazing. Look how articulate she is.
Home?
By the way, Shachar, let's tell everyone that you're originally American and your husband's Italian.
Yes.
Hence the American accent, considering she lives in Italy. Like my Australian accent living in America. So wonderful.
Right.
Shachar, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll have our chat later on in the week. We try to chat like every...
Sounds wonderful.
Now that I'm back, we took a break over Israel. I couldn't really chat with anyone while I was away. But yeah, we'll pick it up again later on in the week. All right, maybe you'll share a recipe with our listeners as well. So, we'll try to get a recipe from you, an Italian kosher recipe.
Right now on the spot. You want to hear one?
No. You'll send us one. We'll post it up.
Oh, okay, with pleasure. And there's plenty of recipes as well on RebbetzInUnplugged.com.
So you'll send us the link, and I'm going to put it on the show.
With big pleasure.
All right, thank you, Rebbetzin. Okay.
So much fun as usual.
Thank you. Bye, Shachar. Always nice to talk to you.
You too.
Amazing. I think Arrivederci is Italian. I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to get my next guest on the phone, which is Vera Newman. She is in Detroit. Okay, let's get her on the phone with me, Vera Newman from Detroit. Hi, Vera.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We have had an action-packed show right here on Table for Two today. I just got off the phone with Rebbetzin Shachar Banim from Venice, Italy. Have you ever been there?
Me? No, I've never been. I would love to go.
You got to go. Especially because you're into food. Everyone's got to go to Italy at least once. How are you?
I love that. Good. How are you?
Great. This is really exciting. I've got your giant encyclopedia cookbook, which I'm holding up. So I also, you're in Detroit and I'm in New York, but we have a video camera as well for those who want to watch the show on the Nachum Segal Network YouTube channel. And I want to hold up the book for everyone to see this beautiful book, which you developed, styled, and photographed yourself.
Yes, I did.
I didn't realize that when I got the book. And I'm like, wow, these pictures are beautiful. So I turned to the front cover to see, who took the photos, because they usually mention that. Like in my book, it says Miriam Pascal. And then it
Right.
says Recipe, Styling and Photography by Vera Newman. And I'm like, oh,
Yes.
even more
And that
respect.
was actually a crazy journey, because when I originally decided that I wanted to write a cookbook, the most stressful thing for me was to figure out who's going to photograph my book. I am not a photographer. Like, if you go back into my Instagram, all my images were taken with an iPhone. Like,
Right.
totally
Like
not professional.
Like mine.
Totally not professional. I'm not a photographer, so it was so stressful for me to figure out. So I was toying with the idea. So should I hire someone to do it? Should I also wanted Miriam Pascal to shoot my cookbook. So when I found out, she actually, because I love her work and I loved your cookbooks and I loved what she did with them. And I knew that she, that she did this for
She's
people.
done
because not
5
everyone
books.
is willing.
Well, I'm the only person she's done it for so far, but she's done 3 of her own books and 2 of mine.
3 of her own books and then yours. So, and then I always admired her, and she was one of the people besides, her and Hani Applebaum are the only people that really do all 3, the recipes, the styling, and the photography. So, of course, I always admire her. So basically, at the end of last year, she was promoting her last cookbook, Real Life Kosher Cooking 2. And she was coming to Detroit to do a food demo. So when I found this out, I reached out to her. I'm like, Miriam, I want you to stay by me. I want to host you because I wanted to pitch her this idea to shoot my cookbook. So then she's like, oh, you're so sweet. I'm actually already staying by someone else. But if you want to pick me up from the airport, that works. I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm going to have her in my car for 30 minutes. I can pitch her the idea. And it's going to be perfect. So I picked her up and she said, oh, that sounds like a great idea. But how would we do it? I said, you're going to come in, you're going to shoot the book, I'm going to cook it, I'm going to do it all, and we'll do it together. And then she's like, you know what? I don't know if it's such a good idea. It's going to be a lot on you. It's very stressful. So she's like, you would need a kitchen manager and this and that.
It's a whole what to do.
Oh my gosh. And then she's like, you know what? Let's see. So then basically she came into my house, she looked at my space, and she said, listen, I don't think this is going to work out, but what I could do for you is I could teach you food photography. I could come in, I could give you an intense food photography crash course. I could tell you what camera to get, what lens to get, the backgrounds, the props, everything you need to know so you can do it yourself. So she told me, if I didn't think that you had the talent to do it, I would not offer this option for you. But I really do think that you're able to do it, that you can't do it.
And you did it. And you did it.
And I did it. So she came in and we did it. And I was so nervous. And it's so interesting for me. Like, I'm probably the only one that notices. But to see my pictures from the beginning and then my last pictures that I took, it's amazing to see the improvement.
Okay, so here, I've got the book in front of me. What's the first picture you took? I want to see.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure the minute Miriam came in, it was a Sunday morning. I think we shot the lahmacun first.
Okay, so do you know what page is that? It's an appetizer.
Appetizers. Probably like
Pesach lahmacun.
The lahmacun, and then the last picture I shot.
Okay, hold on. I want to look. I got to find it. Okay, lahmacun. Okay, that's the first picture. I'm holding it up.
That's the first picture. And then if you go to baked goods.
Those who are watching, that's on the YouTube channel. This is the first picture. Okay, I'm showing it up on the YouTube channel. It's page 10. And the last...
Yes. And then, one of the first ones I took as well was the cream cheese crumble cake on the baked goods chapter. That was also I remember now, it's one of the first ones.
Okay.
If you want to show that.
I need a page number.
Oh, you want me to check?
Yeah, okay. And show me the last one. The
last picture is the wonton miso soup. I think it's the first soup in the soup
chapter.
I have the book right here. I can tell you right now the page.
The first soup in the soup chapter. It's funny, I wouldn't have a clue what any of the pages are in my book.
I have no idea.
I know that Susie Fishbone zucchini.
They're all even.
They're miso wonton soup?
Yeah, so that's the last image.
Okay, so
you should see the quality.
Here. So Susie Fishbone zucchini muffins are on page 186 in her first kosher palette. Kosher by design. That's all I know. Here.
That's all you know. I know nothing. I still have to get comfortable with the book. I worked so hard on it, and now it's okay, I have it here.
How long did it take you?
So from idea in November of 2019 and then the book is being, it was released in December of 2020. So I'd like to say 1 year, but I actively shot the book for about 8 months. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty. You probably did a couple photos a day or a week.
Exactly. A couple photos a day, and I actually did a live on my Instagram where I tell you, like, I explained all the process. So basically,
we did that.
I shot everything during quarantine because that was basically
right. Well, you're locked up, nowhere to go.
I was locked up, nowhere to go. It's the perfect time, and then my husband and I were home, and the kids were home, and they were doing online schooling.
Did you have trouble finding the ingredients during Corona? Yes, because that was a big thing here in New York. I couldn't get chicken at one point.
It was crazy. Like, that was like probably like one of the hardest things. And then, like, just like finding things like basic, I remember like doing a 45-minute line outside of Trader Joe's just to get fresh parsley and cherry tomatoes to shoot a picture. Like,
right.
It was really not easy. So each thing took like double the effort at least.
I'm so proud of you, Vera. It's such a big book. Like, it's really big. You put a lot into it. But let's talk about your background, because you're actually not American originally.
I'm not American. I am Panamanian.
I love Panama.
Yeah,
Shout out to my friend Michelle.
So I actually was born and raised in Panama City, Panama. I only moved to Michigan when I was 20 years old, when I got married to my husband.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Big change from big city Panama to Detroit, which is still a big city, but it's much smaller than even New York. And then Panama's here, massive. It's all sky-rise buildings and hustle and bustle city.
Yes. I know Panama is beautiful, and I love going back to visit, but there's also a beauty of like living like kind of like just like out of town, and like how chilled it is here. And I really love this community, and everybody's like, how did you do it? How did you move? And I tell everyone, like, it really wasn't that hard for me. I love to be able to go back. I go to Panama, well, pre-COVID, right, of course. I go all the time. My parents are there. My siblings are there. I do have a sister in Toronto, but my siblings are there. Everybody, my family's there, my friends. So I go all the time. So I get to have that taste of Panama, the culture and the restaurant and the simchas, because in Panama,
Vera,
you have like...
We have to tell them how many kosher restaurants there are in Panama, because I went with Miriam Schreiber's Legacy Tours about 3 years ago. How many restaurants are there? Like 50, right?
So I don't think it's 50. I think it's more like 35.
It's 30. It's 35 restaurants, but another like 15 like ice cream or coffee house, or there are
40. My mom is saying 40. She's standing right here with me.
Oh, hi, Mom.
She told me 40 restaurants. So
40 restaurants. I remember going to Old Panama and finding a kosher ice cream store. In the middle of Old Panama, the old part.
There is.
There is, right. So is that including in the 40?
Is that included in the 40 like ice cream shops or like actual restaurants 40? Everything with the ice cream shops.
Oh, okay, 40. That's amazing. And how many Jews are in Panama?
What?
How many Jews are in Panama? 15,000?
She's the encyclopedia here.
Okay. Hi, Mom.
12,000? More or less, 12,000.
12,000 Jews and 40 kosher restaurants. That's amazing.
Yeah. That is amazing.
That's
crazy
probably
ratio.
And from what I remember, the two biggest kosher supermarkets are in the world are both in Panama.
Yes, outside of Israel. So outside of Israel, the biggest full kosher grocery stores, and it's crazy to go there because everything is like imported from Israel. You get like the real deal.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time in that supermarket getting ready for the trip, and on the trip we went there a few times. It's just a beautiful city. This is a whole... I didn't even realize that we should prepare for this on the show, but I figured while I've got you, and we can talk about, we did the Venice Jewish community, now we'll do a little bit of Panama Jewish community, but it's a very hustle and bustle community. A lot of Sephardic Jews. It's very Sephardic, right?
Yeah, very Sephardic. So it's mostly a Syrian community. So my dad is Moroccan and Syrian. So I was brought up with like that culture. And when I married my husband, it was like a culture shock for me.
Is he Ashkenaz? Ashkenaz.
So it's totally, so if you
So
see my book.
Yeah, so let's tie that all into the book. That was my lead into the book.
Yes. So it's a huge melting pot of like all cultures. So I have like my mom's Moroccan fish and like, staple Syrian recipes that I grew up eating like on a weekly basis. You'll find the mjadra, which is a typical every Thursday night, Syrian Jews eat this rice with lentils and they serve it with like Greek yogurt on the side and Israeli salad. And it sounds like crazy, like you would get sick of it, but nobody ever gets sick of it. You can have it every.
What's it called?
It has, like,
What's it called?
Imjadra. So it's Mjadra, and it's on my weeknight suppers chapter.
I love that idea. I'm going to write that down and make that.
Yes, it is divine. It has butter. It has like tons of like sauteed onions, caramelized onions, and then you like mix it with the lentils and rice, and it's heavenly. Like that bomba flavor of that like carby rice with lentils, and then that like almost like sour Greek yogurt with the Israeli salad with tons of lemon, and then the lemon seeps into the rice. It's like,
do you know what page that is? I'm gonna try to look for a page.
I'm gonna tell you the page right now.
I know Sanchoco. That is definitely South American.
What's that?
Sanchoco.
Oh, sancocho. That's actually a Panamanian soup.
Yeah.
It's like our.
I had it.
Google what's the typical food of Panama is this sancocho. That's like the soup. I grew up eating that once a week. Like in my house, it was a staple.
So I actually had it in Evita's in Chicago.
Oh, you did Evitas? Oh, I'm dying to try that one.
Oh, it's
okay,
so
in
good.
Jadra here, 188. The
188.
Suppers chapter, and I show you how I would eat it, like exactly how I would eat it. So good, with the fried onions on top.
Here we go. There's a picture of it there. Looks delicious. Okay.
Yes, it's really good.
All right. Now, so you have a lot of Asian-inspired recipes.
Yes,
as well.
A lot of Asian inspires, like a little bit of everything, just basically how I cook in a book. And everybody, like the feedback I've been getting, such easy recipes. They really, really are. None of them are intimidating, no crazy ingredients, all like staple ingredients, pantry staples. And I really, I'm also a caterer.
Oh, you really? Like
yes.
me. We started off as caterers and did books.
Yes. So I've been a caterer for about 4 years now. And I do like mostly like Shabbos catering, Yantav catering, and I also do like private parties. I don't cater weddings or anything because I'm a one man show.
Yeah.
I can't have help. Like I can't have anyone else in my kitchen. My mom goes crazy. Like, why can't you just hire someone to help you? I can't. I have to do everything my way.
Vera, I have a team. I'm nothing without my team. I have a team. Someone helps me chop. Someone helps me wash. Who washes all those dishes?
Well, so that I have.
There you go.
My clean lady comes. I leave my kitchen flying, and she comes, and everything goes back to normal.
Yeah,
so that's for sure. I don't wash dishes, but I cook it all. I check. I've also learned like it's not worth my time to check produce, so I just buy everything checked. Yeah, it's a little more costly.
I'm with you as well. Thank God Gourmet Glad has everything checked. I don't buy anything that's not checked.
Gourmet Glad is incredible.
Yeah.
I was there actually. I was in Lakewood to shoot my cover and chapter dividers with the help of, I basically used Renee Muller's studio.
Oh, I love Renee.
Studio.
And she has a beautiful book now too. Oh, she has two beautiful books. I mean, her book and Dinner Done. I want to have those.
Yes, between carpals. She's an incredible human being. I'm forever grateful to her. So she let me use her studio and, help me like brainstorm the concepts for the cover chapter, because I feel like I could shoot the whole book, but the cover, it just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't think that I had.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing with Art Scroll is their covers. Like we have to. They don't check the pictures in the book. They check to make sure that the cover is going to be spot on.
The cover is what sells the book.
You do. There's an expression. You judge a book by its cover, right?
Yes,
it's there for a reason.
Yes. Yeah.
Are we going to do a giveaway for our audience?
Yes, we are.
Okay, guys, you know what to do. We always try to do a giveaway. So, to win a copy of Vera's amazing book, please follow her on her page, Vera Newman. It's
and
the marble spoon. So it's the marbled
Yes.
spoon, which is also the name of a book. And by the way, my press copy came with literally a marbled spoon and a marbled mask, which I'm already wearing, by the way. That came in very handy. So we're going to do a giveaway for the book. You have to email me, Naomi, at nachumsiegel.com to win. And you have to make sure, if you're on Instagram, you also follow her. And, of course, I know you're all following me on the Nachum Siegel Network. We know that. That's a given. We've been on the air for 9 years already, so I know that.
Wow.
But make sure you follow Vera and check out her book. Vera, it's really something so, so beautiful. And
Thank you.
I really like... When I was sitting down last Shabbat morning and I read your stories of the head notes to each recipe, and then I look at a few different things when I look at the books. I look at the recipe. I look at the head notes. I love a good story about each recipe. I want to know where it came from, what inspired you. And then the dish itself and how it's styled. Like Miriam Pascal told me this. Did she tell you this? You want to be able to lick the page and reach right in and eat it.
She actually told me this. She said, a lot of food stylists focus too much on the props and not on the food. The purpose of a food image, especially in a cookbook, is that the food looks delicious. Like that's the purpose of an image. And I actually kept that in the back of my head all the time. The only picture that she gave me a feedback that it was more about the props than about the image. But I was okay with that, just like the one picture, because it's the first picture in the book.
Yeah.
The first recipe in the book. It is the ultimate Shabbos appetizer. You can see it. It's the first. That's the one that really we felt like it was like more about the props than the image. But I was okay with that. Like,
I'm going to take a look at that. It's the first recipe in the book.
Page 4. Page 4. Yes.
The ultimate Shabbos appetizer. Okay. Yeah.
Do you see that? How it's like more about the props than the actual food? But I was okay with that. Like,
It's beautiful.
You can serve it like on like a beautiful like table, and, like whatever. So I really try to keep that advice from Miriam throughout like all my pictures.
Right.
I want you want to like eat the picture, eat the book, right? Through
Right.
So
very nice. Vera, you should be so proud of yourself. You can put that under your belt. It's like your PhD in cooking. When you say, before everything else, you now say cookbook author Vera Newman. You know, that it's a huge child. Oh, first it's, mother, wife, and cookbook author, It's a huge deal. So really, congratulations. Welcome to the Cookbook Club. I hope everyone's going to go get themselves a copy. It's really just gorgeous. And enter the contest. Maybe you'll win one. And if you don't, you'll go buy one. They're available at all your Judaica stores, on Amazon. And I'm sure if you live in Detroit, out of Vera's garage, how I sell mine too.
Thank you so much, Naomi. I just want to say it means a lot coming from you, because you are honestly, like, I would say, like, the mother of like the Jewish, you know what I'm saying, like social media and like the kosher cooking, and just like you're so knowledgeable and so inspiring, and I love watching your stories, and I love your travels and your family. So it means a lot coming from you. So I appreciate your time and for taking interest in interviewing me and for loving my book. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. I'm sending you hugs and kisses.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Vera.
Thanks. Okay.
Vera was amazing. It was so great to have her on the show. So inspiring to see someone just, do a book from scratch and style it and all themselves. So make sure you enter that. I'm getting on the phone. Susie?
Yes, hi.
It did. I didn't even hear it ring. Fantastic.
Yes.
Hi, Susie.
Operators
Susie.
are standing by.
Okay, Susie, you want to hear something crazy? I don't have your last name written in my phone. It says, Susie, meet my needs.
Oh, yeah. So I texted it. It's Fishman.
Susie Fishman. Yeah. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Susie Fishman is right now in California. Is it nice weather? I ask everyone about the weather.
Oh, it's always nice weather in California, Northern California. Yeah.
I got snow outside. In fact, I'm doing the shows from my house, and we also film it so people can watch on the YouTube channel. And
fabulous.
And then we have normally we show my backyard because the backyard is behind me, so we have a nice view through the camera, and it's full of snow. It's reflecting on the camera, so the blinds are down today. But Susie and I met a year and a half ago at the JWE conference.
Yeah, amazing conference. I absolutely loved it. Yeah,
I'm dying for another one.
Me too.
But
Totally.
the virtual ones aren't the same. People need to be together in a room to really
Yes,
network.
they do. Yeah.
And we met each other, and Susie has a great product, and she asked me to take a look at it, and I fell in love with it. Took us a while to get together and get the product, and she has a really good hechsher, and she had to get it certified, and she got the business up and running because I met her at the very beginning, and she sent me the product when it was all set to go, and she's on the air right now. So, Susie, why don't we talk about what Meet My Needs is, because they won't understand what we're talking about.
Sure. Well, Meet My Needs is a little bit of a play on words. So needs is Kneads, like baking and dough needs.
So you can tell it's a product for challah.
It's a spice blends that we use and incorporate into our baking and cooking in general. And I love to spice things up when I'm baking. So if you meet my baked goods, if you meet my needs, you'll see how I incorporate spice blends into recipes to sort of up level my baking. And so I've created these kosher spice blends. They're a small batch, so they're very, very fresh. And they're spice blends that absolutely everyone can use. So I'm very excited to share them.
So let's talk about some of the flavors, so to speak.
Yeah, sure. So I've had a really good time with these, and I've named them sort of fun, playful names. So one of my favorite blends is Meshuggah for Mexican. And Meshuggah for Mexican, it has a lot of cilantro and jalapeno and garlic and coriander, a little bit of citrus mixed in there. And I love to mix it into my challah dough, or just even like sprinkle it on top of avocado toast and things like that.
Yum. I'm actually
delicious.
I'm holding actually the box up to the people that are watching on the
good.
YouTube channel.
Yeah. So I've worked a little Yiddish into the naming of these. I have a spice blend called Chai is High, which is a really fun. It's actually very much like an Indian spice blend as far as the flavors and the seasonings. There's some fennel and some pepper in there. It's not too sweet. Of course, there's cinnamon and all of that in the chai, but it makes the most amazing glaze as well. And I have Zadie's barbecue.
Oh, I want that one.
Zadie's barbecue is really amazing on roasted vegetables, not just like a meat or a marinade. And it's really good sprinkled on your challah too, because it gives it a nice little red chili pepper kind of color.
Oh, I love that. I've got in front of me from the box that you sent me. It comes in a really great gift box. You can actually make your own great gift boxes. You can customize each one on meetmyneeds.com. But Bubby's Bakery, Meshuggah for Mexican, Ungepatchka challah, which is like the everything spice. I love that. And cinnamon shtick.
Yes, cinnamon stick is my go-to for anytime I need a warm spice blend. I also have za'atar my world, because I'm absolutely in love with za'atar.
Oh, me too.
I've never met anyone who doesn't love it. And I have a fun one that I call All Shook Up. It's very much like a Hawaii spice blend that you'd find, like a Yemenite spice blend that you'd find in the shuk. And really, the genesis of this came from me just kind of wandering through the shuk in Jerusalem, just taking in all the spices. And I really wanted to build community within the Jewish community, because I feel like there's all these sort of false divides among us. But for the safety and security of Israel, I wanted everyone to be able to come together and as one group to support Israel. And so since I'd never met anyone who didn't love fresh baked bread, I thought, well, maybe, challah is a good place to start to build some community for everyone to enjoy and share. And, working spice blends in really makes it even more fun and creative.
I love it. And you do something very special with the proceeds.
Yes. So the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, Naomi, goes to two organizations. One is Challah for Hunger, and the other is Swipe Out Hunger. And these are two organizations, and they work together very nicely. They collaborate between their organizations. They are fully supporting students on college campuses across the United States, and I'm talking hundreds of campuses, supporting students who are experiencing food insecurity insecurity. And food insecurity.
Yeah, elaborate on that. Elaborate a little bit on what that means.
Yeah, so that means that these students do not have reliable access to nutritious food on campus. These are students that probably came through, sort of through K-12 public school system where they had support, free and reduced lunches, maybe even 2 or 3 meals a day, summer food support. Suddenly they're off to college because they've worked so hard to get, scholarships or tuition assistance, and they're working 2 jobs and trying to improve their lot in life. And yet they don't have affordable food. They don't have access to nutritious food, and some of them have to drop out because they have to get maybe a 3rd job to support themselves. But we want these students to stay in school. We want them to thrive and be part of the whole network that they can build in college that will give them a better life in the future. And so supporting them and making sure that they have food through food pantries, through having meal cards so they can go to the cafeteria, advocating for policy changes so that things are funded a little more equitably for these students. It's really helping support them and giving them a better life. And they're doing all the hard work. They want to get there. And since, especially as bakers, as moms, as cooks, we are very nurturing people in general, and to share what we have with others.
I love what you're doing. I love that you started a business to help people with and giving it to charity, and also the person who's buying it is getting your help by enhancing their food for Shabbat and challah, or during the week. You can use it on your challah, you can use it in your food, and at the same time you're helping someone else by donating the profits, and they're getting food as well. Like, it's like a win-win for everyone. I love this about you, that you did this.
Oh, thank you. And Naomi, for me, it's a win-win-win. I see it as a win because the students are getting help, and everyone's getting really fun spice blends to work in. But I have also, it's been a personal win for me because I've met the most amazing people like you and all the women at the, at the JWE, and, through Instagram, through Swipe Out Hunger and Challah for Hunger, just met the most amazing people. And so I've just, feel, when you give, you gain a lot.
When you give, you get. It's beautiful. And
you really do.
And we have something special for all our listeners. We have a coupon.
Yes, we do. So I wanted to, I'm having a big push towards the end of the year to get as much funding to our charities as possible.
Fantastic.
So we are offering 25% off. This is the biggest discount I've ever given.
Woo, just for our listeners.
Quite sure when I will do it again, but now we're doing it, and all people have to do is go to meetmyneeds.com, and so it's KNEADS,
and meet and meet 2 E's.
Meetmyneeds.com, and then just order any box of 4, whether it's I have some set up as Party in a Box or Wow the Crowd box, but you can also customize your own box of 4, and then as you're checking out, just put in the discount code, and the discount code is Naomi Rocks.
Oh, NAOMIROCKS?
Yes.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, Naomi Rocks, because you definitely do.
Amazing. So save 25% off, meetyourneeds.com, Spice Blend. Absolutely incredible, especially for our listeners at Table for Two. The profits are going to charity. This is one amazing lady from California, Susie Fishman, had this brilliant idea. You're not even a chef, right?
No, I'm not a chef. I'm a home cook, but I am an engineer by education, and I'm really process oriented, and so I've developed processes that really get reliable and great results in the kitchen. So I've kind of engineered my kitchen.
I love that. Like, are you in software engineering? Because that's why you're in Palo Alto?
Yes, actually, I've worked in startups, but it's really, I'm in supply chain management.
Fantastic.
Is my background. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I've learned so much. I've learned actually a lot of cooking tips from you, actually, from Perfect for Pesach and Perfect Flavors. My 2 cookbooks that are always my go-to.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah, I use the Perfect for Pesach, honestly, all year long. I don't save it for Pesach.
That's what I want to hear. Get a Pesach copy and a regular copy. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We had action-packed lineup. Susie from California, Vera from Detroit, Rebitz and Shachar from Venice, Italy. What a roundup we had today, and we just hope that everyone stays safe and stays healthy, and we can't wait to have another show with you next week. Want to wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. It's a table for two with Naomi Nachman. We have music sponsored by our friends at Kedem right up till lift benching. Shabbat Shalom.